Hey guys, and welcome to another reaction video. Yeah, I didn't record on Sunday, which is why there wasn't a video on Monday. No reason, I just really didn't feel like it. So yeah, sorry about that. Then no video. I didn't record on Monday either, which isn't too unusual for me. Monday is one of my longer school days, and my grandfather's birthday was on Monday, so I was at my grandfather's for a couple hours too. I technically did have enough time to record a bit, but I only fairly little, and I didn't want to spend that recording again. I am trying to record a little more this week than I did last week, but as always, no promises. As usual, you can expect something on the weekends. But yeah, only this week. After this week, I have holidays for 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks of no school where I will upload a little more. So yeah, that's pretty nice. So yeah, I will still, like I said, I'll try to record a little more this week. This one is called Look Before... yeah, this is... Today, I'm going to be continuing with the reviews from TheMysteriousMrEnter, which you probably already know because you've read the title. But yeah, the episode he's covering today, or this time, is Look Before You Sleep. Yeah. The Rarajack ship. I think this was a point where people started shipping them. Maybe? It probably was. Some people did before, I'm sure, but this one helped. I like the episode, honestly. I don't know. Rarity and Applejack seemed like the one of the two ponies that would just fight if they would have to spend a long time together. It seemed fitting for me at the time. Remember, this was back in season 1. Now they are very good friends, and I would not expect them to fight them too often. There are still some things that they would fight over. I mean, relatively recently there was this episode, what was it called? Pony Point of View, where they and Pinkie Pie had a pretty big fight, actually. Yeah, but back then it made sense to me. Actually, either Rarity and Rainbow Dash or Rarity and Applejack, and Rarity and Applejack more than Rarity and Rainbow Dash, I think. Or at least back then, I thought. Not so much now. I think they do get along for the most part pretty well, and which is good. But again, season 1, fairly early episode. It didn't seem unreasonable or anything to me. I don't know. I liked how Twilight got all that excited about her first slumber party. I think that was really cute. And yeah, though I don't know, she didn't seem to care that much about friendship before she met the other 5. So I guess you could argue that why would she want a slumber party if she didn't care about friends? But detail. Very small thing. I don't really need to complain about it. I don't want to complain about it. I don't think it matters. I don't know. I like the episode. There are probably some points you can criticize here and there. Maybe even some big ones, but I can't think of any. But this is why I'm watching this review, right? So, yeah, let's get started, I guess, and see what he thinks about it. 3, 2, 1... click. Also, sorry about the mess back there. My sister slept here again 2 days ago, I think, and I was too lazy to clean that up. Hi. My mother.
Don't you hate it when things never go as you plan? I wanted to stay as far away from that episode as possible.
Okay, he doesn't like it.
Had other plans in mind. Looks like I gotta go back in the line of fire for a re-review. Needless to say, I didn't like this one too much. Why not? Everyone else loved it. They praised it to high heavens. Well,
I wouldn't quite do that, but I do like it.
Grab a cold drink, because we're going to be here for a while. The episode started, poetically enough, with the sun being blocked by rain clouds. The Pegasus ponies had skipped a sprinkle and had scheduled a rainstorm for that night. Among the debris were Applejack and Rarity. I couldn't for the life of me figure out why Rarity was there. Applejack's story checked out. She was a farmer, good with manual labor, certainly an asset to the storm effort. Rarity was a pony of a different caliber. She was a designer, a fashionista as she calls it.
Maybe
someone who spends most of her time indoors.
Maybe
Certainly
she was
no better
asked to
selections
help?
for the job. The two were at each other's throats immediately. Rarity wanted to place down branches back on the trees for reasons I can't tell you. Just proves my point. She was the wrong one for the job.
She probably
The
was,
thunderous
but
anger in her
still.
voice was enough to drive a man to madness.
Does not, does not, does so infinity. Ha. Does not infinity plus one.
Truly the words of business owners. Perhaps they were meant to act childishly that day, but no
Maybe.
responsible adult would ever lower themselves to such simplistic arguments.
No, probably
After a brief
not.
reprieve from the intro sequence, I come face to face with my old adversary, Charlotte Fullerton, the writer of this episode. I've recently made it known that she's my least favorite writer on the show, though I didn't know it at the time I first watched this episode. It was her first effort. We could expect that to fail. Little did I know that the problems that plague this episode plague all of her episodes. Her mark is unmistakable. In one of her episodes, a character or a conflict doesn't need to have a logical reason to be there. They're just there because she wills it. If there's an ending she wants, it'll happen whether or not she needs to bend the personality of the characters to make it happen. I couldn't believe that Rarity and Applejack were so enraged with each other. They shared no animosity, nary a conversation up to this point. Where did this hatred come from? Oh
Yeah,
Charlotte Fullerton's
fair
ass.
point.
The two of them were spared solace from the storm by the call of an old friend, Twilight Sparkle. I'll tell you now, she had the reputation as the smartest unicorn in all of Ponyville. No, in all of Equestria. But if you saw her that night, you'd think I was crazy for telling you that. Rarity stopped Applejack from entering the library to wipe the mud off of her hooves. Perhaps she had a premonition and was trying to spare her friend from the misery that awaited them. Or perhaps she was just being a dick and trying to get under Applejack's skin. Rarity made one of the greatest mistakes of her life that night. She claimed that she would have difficulty getting home in the rain, and that Applejack would as well. Perhaps it was true, or perhaps Twilight had the ability to teleport not only herself, but others as well. Instead, she right the hell out of nowhere suggested the three of them have a slumber party. Whenever I bring up my hatred of this episode, people always think that this is my contention, that I can't take a slumber party themed episode. Well, it's true I find this episode dull as a post. I like the other episodes with the more feminine themes. Suited for Success is actually rather high on my list. It's the hallmark of a good writer to make something completely unappealing to a person interesting. Fullerton was able to do what the aforementioned Suited for Success. It just has to be done well. It wasn't done well here. So what's wrong with this episode? For starters, Twilight was the one claiming she wanted a slumber party. This is the same Twilight who not only didn't have any friends growing up, didn't want any, and there she was,
Called
claiming
it.
that she always wanted a slumber party.
Yeah.
True, even the antisocial can have dreams of activities that can only be done with others. I know, I have my own fair share, but the way she jumped straight to it just wasn't natural. Applejack returned sometime later and got a glimpse of the hell that lay before her. That girl had some sense in her and the desire to just get out of there, but that storm kept her trapped. Then Rarity asked her to play her part in this slumber party. Shit out of nowhere. She claimed that she didn't want to ruin Twilight's first. While a nice sentiment, it made the whole conflict seem even more forced and contrived than it already was. All of this flew under Twilight's radar. I didn't question it at the time, but oh boy did I come to regret that decision. Sometime later, Twilight consulted one of her precious books, Slumber 101, All You've Wanted to Know About Slumber Parties But Were Afraid to Ask. I would like to reference a lot more if that book wasn't the cause of so much grief that night. It told Twilight that they had to tell ghost stories, as if it was her master. Perhaps it was. The way she clutched that book that night was as if she owed it her soul, or at least her brain. Rarity and Applejack immediately used the ghost story angle to insult each other. Perhaps Twilight did notice, perhaps she didn't. All I know is that she wasn't saying anything that didn't come straight from that book. That was until it was Twilight's turn to tell the story. Was it a good one? I couldn't tell you for the life of me. Time seemed to turn into a blur. The next thing I noticed was Applejack and Rarity huddling each other in fear. Knowing now what I know about Twilight, it could have been any number of things that chilled them to the bone. The next order Twilight's book bade them was to make s'mores. It was probably the least interesting part of the night, really. Rarity and Applejack took the opportunity to argue, nothing I hadn't seen prior. It could have been cut out of the night altogether, but I suppose that every last insult had its place. One thing led to another, and soon the girls were playing truth or dare. Or just dare, really, because the word truth didn't pop up once that night. Instead, Applejack and Rarity dared each other to try and be like them, for reasons I can't comprehend. Perhaps they were frustrated, but this was the way their little sisters would act, not grown, responsible adults. At least, I thought they were grown, responsible adults, and I thought that Twilight was some sort of genius. There really is only one word for how Twilight was acting that night. Stupid. Stupid enough to not know what a pillow fight was, at least. I guess her precious book didn't have diagrams. I'm sure some pony would have beamed her upside the head, but the pillows got to her first. It was enough to get her to call it a night. Of course, Rarity and Applejack were forced to share a bed. I suppose the night wasn't just hard on me. It sparked rumors of the two of them sleeping together. Honestly, I could never see it. The only chemistry they shared was volatile. An explosion of bickering woke Twilight, and she finally realized that her friends had been fighting the whole night. True, that gave me some hope for her intelligence, until she asked the question that must not be asked.
I mean, is there anything else that could possibly go wrong?
No one asked that question because they all know the answer is yes. As it was that night, lightning struck a tree branch that threatened to fall. Applejack lassoed it up while Rarity tried to stop her, but it was no use. Applejack pulled that branch and it fell right into the library. It's at times like this when I wonder what she thought would happen. Applejack ain't the smartest pony, but she should have had an understanding that if you pull a branch, it's gotta fall somewhere. Speaking of intelligence and the lack thereof, Twilight realized that there was a giant tree branch in her room, only to then claim that there's no information about it in her book. Any defense of her intelligence that night has just gone up in smoke.
Oh,
no one, no matter how
jeez,
stupid, would look through a slumber party book in order to find the answer to what to do about a tree branch in your room.
Come on, dude.
Meanwhile, Rarity was attempting to clean the disaster area, and for the life of me, I can't tell you why. Perhaps stupidity is contagious. Maybe it's some sort of disease in Equestria. It would explain Twilight's odd-varying intelligence level. It was Applejack who apologized, which would speak wonders for her character if she hadn't spent the whole episode arguing over petty bullshit. Rarity's character is of question as well, considering she only helped after she got what she wanted, and that's about as shallow as it gets. Then this episode thinks it has the right to have a touching moment. Any moment like this is meaningless if the plot moves the characters with little to no reason. I still have a hard time, to this day, believing that Twilight would not only want a slumber party, but either want it so badly as to ignore her friends at each other's throats, or be too stupid to notice it. And if she was noticing it, it was selfish of her to keep up the charade, knowing how against each other they were, even if their arguments were incredibly petty. The whole thing was forced. Characters with no right to be there were in a plot that shouldn't have existed, reaching a conclusion by dumbing down the characters, forcing conflicts, and making it as unpleasant as possible. So yeah, I think this episode is shit.
Well done. I didn't read what was prior to this, I'm just reading a, for me, context-less statement about being Dirt Priest Muffin. Okay, well yeah, he didn't like the episode at all. That's fine. I mean, my least favorite episode is probably one of the most beloved in the entire fandom, and I couldn't, or I don't think I could really explain why I don't like it. So yeah. He doesn't like it, fair enough. He made, in my opinion, he made valid points. I don't always agree to them. I see why he does not like these points, I just don't have a problem with these points, which is why they aren't bothering me, or well, they are just not bothering me. Some of them I didn't thought about in that way before. And I have to say, yeah, he was never flat out wrong, I don't think. But one thing I was kind of about why he was bashing especially Twilight that much. I guess she was a little bit ignorant in that episode. Maybe a little unusual, which, okay, I can see why you wouldn't like it and why you would think it is out of character. It probably is out of character, but he was, damn, he was, yeah, okay, it bothered him way more than it would bother me. Yeah, for me it seems like he was bashing Twilight really hard for a not that big of a deal reason. But I guess it just bothers him really much. Which is fine, I guess. For all the other points he didn't like about the episode, I can see them. I don't always agree on them. More for the most part, they really just don't bother me. I still like the episode. Again, a lot of those I have never thought about it in that way, which is why I always like seeing reviews, because most of the time they point things out that I have never thought about in that way, in the way they thought about it, which is always very nice, and it just opens up a few new opinions. I'm always a little bit worried that they will just ruin an episode for me that I thought was perfectly fine before, but that has yet to happen. They maybe, in all of the reviews I've watched, maybe they have lowered my opinions of episodes a little bit. This might also lower my opinion of the episode a little bit, but I will not hate it as much as he apparently does. I do not care about writers or any staff from the actual show, to be honest, and any other show. There are barely any voice actors or actors I know the names of. In MLP there are actually more than in any other show, and that's only like 4 or 5. I don't care about writers, I don't care about directors, including in movies. I don't actually care about authors who wrote books that I really love. I just don't care about those things. So whenever there's an argument, oh, it's this writer again, I'm just saying, yeah, you're just throwing a random name at my head. I don't know anything to do with it. He says the writer of this episode is always doing bad stuff. I don't know who it is, and I don't know what other episode she wrote. It's apparently a woman. So that's not saying me anything. Which is also why I'm never looking up the names of the writers from newer episodes. There's one reactor in specifically where I pretty often or most of the time watch the reactions to the new episodes, of course after I've reacted to it myself. And he always says, oh, it's this writer, which is good, he did this and this, and I really like their episodes so far. Yeah, you just throwing random names at me. I have no idea who they are and what they did. I just don't care about these things. I also don't care about the name of people who wrote music I really, really love. If you ask me, oh, do you like that musician? What did he do again? And then you say a couple of song names, and if I don't really, really love the song, I'll probably don't know what to do with the name of the song either. I would have to hear the song before I know, oh yeah, I know this song, I really like it. That's just how I am. I don't care about who did it and what else they did, I just care about one thing they did. Well, maybe movie. I mean, I care about all the MMP episodes, so yeah, it's just how I am. But, well, I digress quite a bit there. Okay, yeah, like I said, one thing I want to say, I really like the style of this video. Though I can't understand how we won't do this for every of his videos now. I think it was really funny. He was much more funny than in the other reviews he did, and I guess you could call the others a little more professional, I guess. But I like funny more. I would quite like it if he would do more funny things. This one was really, really good. I actually really, really liked this, even though he said pretty much only negative things about an episode that I quite like. But still, he did it in a funny way, and I really appreciate this. So yeah, the last review from Silverpool was also pretty funny. Yeah, do more funny stuff, please. But yeah, like I said, I really liked his video. Yeah, I've been rambling for quite a while now, so I'm just gonna end the video right here. Say I hope you guys like this little commentary, and I hope you see you next time. Bye.
Just keep your head out of sight. The darkness is rising again, 'cause this is Nightmare Night.